Have you ever realized the person who hurt you didn't actually change? You just saw who they were too late? That thought alone has shattered friendships, relationships, and even families. Here's what's even more disturbing. The most dangerous manipulation rarely feels like manipulation. It feels like trust. It feels like love. It feels like someone having your best interests at heart. That's why intelligent people get deceived every single day. Not because they're naive, but because the human mind is wired to see what it wants to believe. Right now, there may be someone in your life you've completely misjudged. Or worse, someone who has quietly been studying you. By the end of this video, you'll recognize patterns most people never notice. And once you do, you won't be able to unsee them. The first truth changes everything. The hardest lesson you'll ever learn is this. Most people don't wake up thinking about you. They wake up thinking about themselves. That doesn't automatically make them cruel. It makes them human. Psychology calls this the self-serving bias. Our brains naturally prioritize our own needs, goals, and survival before anyone else's. That's why manipulators are so effective. They know you'll keep giving while they're calculating what they can gain. Imagine a coworker who constantly asks for your help, but suddenly disappears when you need support. At first, you blame yourself. Then you work even harder to earn their approval. Slowly, your confidence fades, your self-respect weakens, and you begin questioning your own judgment. The shocking truth? Most people don't intentionally use you. They simply choose themselves when their interests are at stake. Once you understand that, you stop chasing validation, and you're finally ready for the next brutal truth. The moment you become afraid to disappoint people, you quietly give them permission to control you. Kindness is one of your greatest strengths, but without boundaries, manipulators often mistake it for unlimited access. Psychology calls this the foot in the door effect. Once you agree to small requests, people become more likely to ask for bigger ones. Imagine a friend who keeps asking for just one more favor. You say yes because you don't want to seem selfish. Weeks later, you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and somehow feeling guilty for wanting to say no. Little by little, your confidence shrinks, your self-respect fades, and your decisions become driven by fear instead of values. Here's the twist. People rarely respect those who never respect themselves. The strongest kindness is kindness with boundaries. And the next truth reveals what success quietly exposes in the people around you. The people who cheer the loudest at the beginning of your journey aren't always the ones who want to see you reach the finish line. As long as your dreams feel distant, you're comfortable to support. But when you begin succeeding, something changes. Psychology calls it social comparison. People naturally measure their own progress against yours. For some, your growth feels less like inspiration and more like a reminder of the goals they abandoned. Imagine earning a promotion at work. The coworker who once encouraged you suddenly starts making sarcastic jokes, minimizing your achievements, or pointing out every mistake. If you absorb those comments, you'll begin doubting yourself, shrinking your ambitions, and playing smaller just to keep others comfortable. Here's the truth. Genuine supporters celebrate your success without feeling threatened by it. And the next brutal truth explains why people often judge you long before they truly know you. A single moment can destroy a reputation that took years to build. That's because your brain is designed to make quick judgments long before it has all the facts. Manipulators understand this better than almost anyone. They don't need to prove you're wrong. They only need to plant a small seed of doubt. Psychology calls this confirmation bias. Once people form an opinion, they naturally notice information that supports it and ignore what doesn't. Imagine a coworker spreading one misleading comment about you. Soon, innocent actions are interpreted as proof that the rumor was true all along. You begin over-explaining yourself, second-guessing every decision, and slowly losing confidence in your own instincts. The wisest people refuse to judge by appearances alone. They look for patterns, not moments. And that brings us to the next truth. The hidden force that controls more human behavior than logic ever will. The biggest decisions of your life are often made by a voice that wants to keep you safe, not free. Manipulators understand this, which is why they rarely control you with force. They control you with fear. Psychology shows that people are generally more motivated to avoid losing something than to gain something new. Imagine a partner who says, "No one else will ever love you the way I do." Instead of leaving, you stay, not because you're happy, but because you're terrified of what might happen if you walk away. Over time, fear steals your confidence, weakens your self-respect, and convinces you that settling is safer than growing. The shocking truth is that the prison often exists only in your mind. Once you recognize fear as the real decision maker, you become much harder to control. And the next truth reveals the moment when people's true character can no longer hide. The most honest version of someone often appears the moment they no longer need you. While they benefit from your time, support, or connections, kindness can seem effortless. But manipulators know that people judge intentions more than consistency, so they invest just enough effort to keep your trust. Then, everything changes. Imagine helping a friend prepare for a major job interview. They call you every day for advice, but once they get the position, your messages go unanswered. You begin wondering what you did wrong, questioning your worth, and lowering your standards just to reconnect. Here's the surprising truth. Psychologists have found that consistent behavior predicts future actions far better than emotional promises ever will. Don't measure people by their words. Measure them by what they do when they have nothing to gain. And that leads to the final truth. The one that changes how you see every relationship forever. The most painful person to let go of is often the one you believed you could save. Manipulators thrive on that hope because as long as you believe they're almost ready to change, you'll keep investing your time, energy, and heart. Psychology shows that lasting change happens through internal motivation, not pressure, love, or endless second chances. Imagine a partner who apologizes after every argument, promises things will be different, and then repeats the same behavior weeks later. You start believing the next apology will finally be the one that matters. Slowly, your confidence fades, your self-respect erodes, and your decisions become driven by hope instead of evidence. Here's the truth. You can't heal someone who refuses to heal themselves. Sometimes, walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. And once you understand these 7 brutal truths, you'll never see people or yourself the same way again. The greatest betrayal you'll ever experience isn't always from another person. It can come from believing a lie about yourself for far too long. The moment you begin seeing people clearly, you also begin seeing yourself more honestly. That's where real freedom starts. These truths aren't meant to make you suspicious of everyone you meet. They're meant to replace confusion with clarity, fear with wisdom, and emotional reactions with intentional choices. Awareness is the first step to breaking manipulation, because what you can recognize no longer has the same power to control you. Remember this: the people who control your emotions control your decisions. But the moment you understand the pattern begins to lose its power. Protect your kindness, but never abandon your boundaries. Keep your compassion, but don't ignore consistent actions over comforting words. That's how you build relationships rooted in respect instead of dependence. If one of these truths challenge the way you see people, tell us which one in the comments. If this perspective gave you something valuable, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who deserves to see through the illusion. And in our next psychology video, we'll uncover a hidden mental pattern that silently shapes your choices every single day, without most people ever noticing it. The day you stop seeing people as they pretend to be and start seeing them as they repeatedly choose to be is the day your life changes forever.